Right. Hello. I'm feeling like a bit dizzy. I'm not sure why. I was up quite early today, so that might be it. But yeah, kind of funny. I booked the stream. I went downstairs. I got dizzy, and it hasn't stopped. So, but let's try, because I really need to get my thoughts out on this one, because we've been doing this edit PR thing, and we're basically going on any branch. We allow you to run this. We allow you to run this client, which reads the history, the Git history of the branch, and exposes that history in a data format that allows you to manipulate the history. And it's super tricky to kind of imagine how most efficiently that data, like how should that data format look like to most efficiently change the history. Like, it's not an obvious thing. You can do it in many different ways. And initially, like the last iteration, we did something like this. We had like changes, and each change, each key was like a file path. Each item here was actually a commit SHA, and then each commit SHA was what was that? It was an array where we had an object of type of change. It had its origin SHA, I believe, and it had the actual diff. Oh, sorry. Where's the line on this? Oh yeah, exactly. And then the diff actually had the line with the actual like diff change or whatever. And this kind of made sense, but what I realized is that it's not very efficient to move things around. It also contains information that we don't care about related to moving lines around. So here we know like the type of commit, if it's added or modified, but we don't really care about that when moving lines. And especially like what if it was deleted? Now that's suddenly tied into like the lines and the diff and everything. And then what's going to happen here is that we're going to add more lines here from other commits, and then you have multiple objects, you have to merge them. And also one thing I discovered is that through this, it's one thing is producing the correct file contents when you move diffs around. Another thing is showing the diff at the correct line, which probably makes absolutely no sense to you, just me talking about it. But yeah, those are different things. So what I did now is maybe I can just run it and we can open in CodeSandbox. Let's have a look-see. So I did a different approach now where I really have to update this. Let's see. So we have the object here. Okay, so the new format, it still has the commits like this, but now we have file changes. So this lists the files and what types of changes was made on those files. Like was there an addition, a deletion, a rename, a modification? And then you should be able to change this as well. Like if the 5th commit deletes the file, you should be able to say that that happened on the 1st commit. But that's a different kind of Git history manipulation than moving lines, diff lines around. So that's why I separated them. And I don't have an exact idea of how this interaction should look like. But anyways, now that is stored separately. And it shows the origin SHA index. I'm not using the SHA itself because the commits doesn't change. Like they will always look like this as you're manipulating. So it's better to use indexes to reference than the actual SHA. So in this case, if you were to manipulate this, it would change the SHA index, but it would keep its origin SHA index. And it will also keep its same position in this array. We don't do any array moving objects and stuff like that. We would just say, okay, it doesn't really make sense here, but if I wanted to say that this modification actually happened on 0, I would just change the SHA index to 0. But anyway, that's not well thought through. We still have the initial file contents, and then we have line changes. And the way the line changes is represented is that it's actually an object which has, it's just a huge array. It just goes through all the changes that has been made to the file. And each object represents a line. So on line 149, on the first SHA index, which is initially also the origin SHA index, this is the diff that happened. And then you have the next line and the next line. But here you see suddenly line 6 changed. But this is on SHA index 1. This was on the next commit. And here we had a removal. And what I think I realized is that I started thinking like, oh, maybe I should sort on the lines here, so that it kind of represents it as like changes to lines, to kind of, how do I put that? Okay, I thought maybe I should sort it on lines, but then I realized that no, I shouldn't sort on lines, because the thing is that what you're doing when you're manipulating these diffs, I think, is that you're basically just saying, no, now this happened on a different commit. So for example, here we had line 6 on SHA index 1. If I wanted to say that this happened on line 6 on SHA index 0, I just change it to SHA index 0. Because the thing is that when we now produce the contents of the file at SHA index 0, it will still produce the contents correctly here. It will go through every single item of this array for SHA index 0. And then line 6 will actually be the last thing that happened. Even though it was the first line, the 6th line that was changed, it's still the last diff to be applied to that content. And that's exactly how it should work, right? Even though you move stuff from later commits to sooner commits, those diffs are still applied at the moment of the original SHA, like it's later. So it always produces the same content. The problem though is that now the diff, like actually indicating, for example here, if I were to change line 6 to be SHA index 0, it would still produce the exact same content, or it would produce the correct content for SHA 0, because we're doing the removal at the end. But what would happen is that now line 149 doesn't really have a change anymore. It's 148 that actually has that change, or the indication should be on 148. Because we removed line 6. So that's what I mean about two different things. One thing is building the file contents correctly. Another thing is showing the diff indication correctly. So that's the strategy now, is I'm doing this thing here now, and then when you actually grab the diffs, it does what is called transposing, which is basically just adjusting the line number. Let's see, let's actually run a test as well. I should really add tasks for this. Can I? Yeah, anyways. Yeah, so I'm testing the transposing thing, that's the last thing I did. And the good thing, like re-implementing this, not re-implementing, but refactoring this, the code became so much better. I removed a ton of code, and the functions, utility functions, and the actual functions like move lines to previous commit is way simpler. Like, look at this, it's super simple. Yeah, and this is the thing I was thinking about yesterday. I don't think I should sort the lines. Let's see what happens to the test. It probably breaks something. Yeah, so we have to try to reason about this together. Okay. So now we have the transposing. So this example, it starts the initial file contents with mip moop. And then it has an initial change. It's adding map to the last, let's call it 1, 2, 3. And I expect this to be 2, 3, I believe. Anyways. Yes, so we have an initial line of 1 and 2, and then we add 3, and then we remove the 1. So we should have 2 and 3 as a result. Oh, why does it say map? Where's that coming from? Oh, there we go. Yeah, so I expect that to be 1 was removed, 2 was the addition of map, which is 3. Yeah, expected to. Yeah, so this is the thing. Now it didn't transpose it correctly because I didn't. Yeah, so I'm pretty sure I shouldn't sort. So what we need to do is that we need to look at this get file diff. Because this is what's doing the transposing. Anyways, let's just summarize this. So I have line 1 and 2. I add line 3, and then I remove line 1 on the next commit. And what I do is that I'm moving this removal of line 1 to the first commit, which means that it still builds the correct contents. So it adds 1, 2, it adds 3, then it removes line 1. So you end up with 2, 3, which is correct. But now the actual indication in the UI of adding 3 didn't really happen on line 3 anymore. It actually happened on line 2. So that's what we still want to show. And to do that, we have to transpose. And another thing I thought about is, like, when we do this manipulation and we send it back to the server, I was thinking, like, we need to pass all the diffs, all the changes on the diffs and everything. But then I realized, no, we don't. We actually produce the expected contents of the file in each commit on the client. So that's all we have to pass. So when we actually send this back to the server to rewrite the Git history, we just say this file should look like this on this commit, should look like this on this commit, and look like this on this commit. And then Git will just produce the diffs for that. We don't have to think about that, which is great. That simplifies a ton. Anyways, let's try to make this thing run green. Let's see. Oh my god, I'm moving between. There we go. Yes, so it should be 2, 3, but it doesn't show that. And let's look at this get file diff. So what's happening here is that we're getting the line changes. Do we have like only on this one? Yeah, so maybe we can log that get file diff. So just so that we are on the same page, the thing we are trying to get the diffs of is this thing. As you can see, we have SHA index 0 on both of them, where the first one is adding a diff to line 3, and then we're removing line 1. But since we are removing line 1, like this has a different origin, like the origin SHA index is different than the SHA index. It indicates that we made a change. And since this line is before this line, we have to transpose this one. And the thing is, this is a bit opposite, right? We don't know when we meet this one that it needs to transpose. We only know that over here. So so the question is, how do we best do this? So what I've done here for now is that I have this diff. So what happens on the first iteration now is that it looks, it checks, have we passed, or like if we're on a previous commit index, we don't care about it, just continue. If we went beyond the SHA index, break, stop, so that we only deal with items in the array that's actually related to the current SHA index, which is correct. But I did one mistake here. Since I'm not sorting anymore, I can't guarantee that when we meet a SHA index that's not like I think we have to go through the whole array no matter for this to work, because now I'm not sorting anymore. So I cannot guarantee that when I hit a higher SHA index that I'm done. I think. Yeah, this is also a thing, because we have a constraint, and that is you can only move diffs left. So if, yeah, exactly. It's not guaranteed. It's guaranteed if the SHA index is, so if the SHA index of the line change is +1, so it's not like the next commit, but it's like the next one, then I can safely break to optimize, because I cannot take a SHA index, origin SHA, or can I? No, wait, I shouldn't do this. I think we can't make this optimization. We can at least do this optimization. We can skip SHA indexes that is before the current SHA index we're curious about, I think. Or maybe that becomes a problem when we, of course, move to the right. Okay, let's not do this. I think we actually have to go through all of them. Okay. So what I'm doing here is that I'm line change. Yeah, so we actually have to. We at least have to check if the line change SHA index equals SHA index. We only care about the items in the array. That's the actual SHA index. That's for sure. And what we want to do is, like, we don't know here if we need to transpose. How the hell are we going to do this? Because we only, okay, so just to write out, so we have kind of the, because what's going to happen here is that this object is going to start with 3. This is how it's going to start, this diff. And then it moves to the next one, and it will add 1 minus 1. But the problem is that because of this not being, like the origin SHA is different than the SHA, or the origin index is different than the index. The origin SHA index is different than the SHA index. It means that Okay, now we actually manipulated the source material for producing this. So we have to transpose it. But we only know that second, which means that we could, like, when we get to the point where we actually have an origin SHA index that is more than the SHA index, we could look at all the keys and kind of create a new diff where every single key is, yeah, maybe that's what we want to do. Oh, maybe that's what we want to do. So const transposed diff. So we produce a new diff. Yeah, this is interesting. We need to produce a new diff. I wonder how heavy this will be in the client, like producing all these objects, and I'm not caring about that right now. But what we kind of need, this would probably simplify. So we don't have this transpose by up here. We rather have a transpose by down there. Yeah, so we just add it. And then if it happens to be from a different commit, we create this transpose thing. How much should it transpose by? And it should be minus if it's a removal, and it should be by 1 if it's an addition, which means that yeah, we actually need to split up. This is interesting. Lines will be object.keys diff. We map that to number. So this is all the lines. And what we really want to do is, yeah, we could also sort them. What we need to know is that what lines is before, after this line change, but we also want to keep the ones before. So we kind of have to split it up. Yeah, this is computationally quite heavy. Okay, so we don't want to transpose the ones that is on the same line. We just want to keep the ones before this line as is, and then want to transpose the ones after it. I think. Let's try that. Before line would be lines filter. So if the line I wonder if this is the best way to express it. Anyways, let's try it. So if the line is before change, oops, what was it? Line change dot line. That is before the line, and then after line would be this. And what we want to do is for every line before the line, yeah, let line of before line would be transpose diff. It should be exactly the same, but when it comes to the one line of after line, those should actually be transposed by. And then we want to say that this diff is now the transposed diff. What happened to our test now? It still failed. Oh yeah. of course, we have to keep the one. We also have to keep the one we actually added here. So maybe we should just, yeah, so maybe we could just add that immediately. Line change, line change diff. So we definitely want to keep that one. Okay, so that actually worked. Now, oops. And what would happen here is that when we move a diff to the right, we would just do the opposite. Like the transposing would be like opposite. But we would basically do the same thing, and it wouldn't be. I think, or maybe it's the same. Well, we'll figure that out. Okay, remove this. So the thing is, like, this is just too complex for me to put everything in my brain and reason about how this should work. This is just taking one step at a time, trying to figure out how this could be done. But yeah, this just looks inefficient. Maybe we don't really have to do this. Maybe we can just go through the, yeah, maybe that's better. For that line in diff. Yeah, of course. This is better. So we just go through each line in the diff. And then we check if and then number line is before the line of the change. We'll just add it. And then else if line change line. If it's after, we do this. At least that's more efficient. Let's make it a number. Line as number. That should give the same result, and it's more efficient. So basically, the only thing that bothers me with this data structure is that every time we like look at a file, we have to go through all the changes through the whole history to properly indicate where the diff now is, like the diff indicators. Did I make the same mistake on get file content? Oh yeah, so this is interesting. When I want to get the file content, the only thing I actually... Oh, that's interesting. Maybe that's a better way to do it. Well, I guess it's the same. So what I'm doing here when I grab the file content is that I'm just going in and I'm filtering the full array so that I only get changes related to a SHA index below or equal to the current SHA index. It doesn't matter where in the array it is. You just get a like compressed version of the array, and then we apply all of that to the initial lines, which is excellent. Well, when it comes to get file diff, we could take the same approach where we filter out the array first. What's interesting though is that we want to do it at the same time. Maybe we should actually make that. So what I mean is, like, here we are producing the changes with a filter, and we actually want to do the same for the diff. We want the same set of changes, and that means that we don't have to go through the whole array. We can do that once, pass it in to get file content. Yeah, and then we can use the same array for both producing the file content and showing the diff. That makes a lot of sense to me. Okay, so instead of sending the SHA index, because that's only used for the filter, we actually pass the changes. So what we can do, get changes of SHA index. So that would be this thing. And then this, get compressed get compressed changes. That's very generic. What should we call that? Get yeah, you could also argue that we would pass in the initial file contents there. I find this interesting. Get file diff. Yeah, doesn't even need a file name. Yeah, maybe we should not make these related to the data. Maybe it should just get. Maybe we should actually just have initial content would be string. And we would actually do that outside, and then you would rather have changes here. And this is line changes, PR line change. What's up? Oh. Initial lines. Yeah. So to get the file content, we would just pass the initial lines and the changes made to, yeah, which we get from here. Get file changes up to SHA. Get file line changes. Wait, we could pass in this instead of the data. Yeah, this is better. We don't pass in the data, we just pass in, yeah, again, changes. So we don't need a file name. Oh, this is interesting. Changes would be PR line change, and we would do this. Yes. And then we rather grab that from the outside. So this would be get. This is get file content. Get line changes. It's kind of. Oh, but I didn't care about. Oh, that's interesting. No, wait, this is the. Oh, god damn it. Because when we do the. like when we're grabbing the file diff, even though we don't care about the things after a certain SHA index, no, this is right. Sorry. No, exactly, because this isn't giving like the actual SHA index. It's everything up to that SHA index. So we would kind of have to filter that one again on the actual SHA index, because that's where the diff is. But still, that's faster than and more explicit than. Oh, god damn it! Why are we doing this? We wouldn't have to do this check anymore. What I don't like now is that you actually have to apply. We need a function for this. God damn it. So we need this array to build the file contents, because we need all the changes up to that point. But when we give the diff indications, we don't need all the changes up to that point. We only care about the actual SHA index we're looking at. So in that case, it's just so implicit that, okay, I want to get the line changes now by SHA index. So I want to do that now because I want to produce file content for that. It's just too low level. It's we could make it a single function though. So you wouldn't say get file content. It would yeah, and this is actually initial content. And we would split this. No, is it that way? That way. No, split, got that. So we could have a function that does both of these. It takes the changes. Yeah, I think we need to do that. So instead of getting the file contents, we actually get both. Get file content and diff. And what this does is that it takes, and it's perfectly okay that we get the changes, and but that will be all changes. But then it will be get line and diff by SHA index. Yes, that's it. So we have the lines and we have the diff, which is of type something. So what we would return, okay, so this needs to have some first we need to initial content, changes, and then SHA-index. So first we filter out SHA changes up to SHA-index. That produces the lines. And then we have this other thing called, where is it? Get diff. Ah, it was right there. Yeah, get file diff. Let's grab that one. Move lines to, we don't need this one anymore either. That's nice. And now we have, that's all we need to produce the lines. And this would be like a record of, it's actually a number, but yeah. PR change diff. So let's take a look at what we would do here instead. So the line changes, these line changes would be a filter of this one, where you point to the exact, if the line change SHA-index equals SHA-index, because we only want to deal with the ones that on SHA-index, changes on SHA-index. Now we don't have to do this check. Oh, do I have Prettier installed? Maybe I guess I have some. Oh yeah, of course. Do I have some? It doesn't format. God damn it. Oh, there we go. Okay, so what's happening? Get lines and diff by SHA-index. So I can now just say initial content, all the initial content for that file, the line changes for that file. This is the SHA-index I'm currently looking at. It gives me the lines for the content at that point, and it also gives me the proper diff for that, which has been now transposed. And it's optimized in the sense that we first do a filter up to the SHA-index, then we filter that shorter list to only the specific SHA-index. I think that's like the fastest way we can do this. But now we broke a bunch of stuff. There's nothing called that anymore. Get lines diff by SHA-index. So we have to do data initial contents test.json and data.line changes test.json, and we only care about the lines. We'll do the same here. Oh, get new data initial contents file name and new data line changes file name blah blah blah, and then of course lines. Yeah, so here we can combine them. Get lines initial file contents. I think, yeah, I should really new data, line changes. Now we can say lines should look like this and the diff should look like this. What will happen now? Well, that worked. That worked. Hey, it's going all green. Okay, that's good. Okay, I think we're onto something here. So what we have here now is, now we're going to move lines to, and we can just actually remove this because this is like, you see how complicated that was? We can rather copy this one, move lines to next commit, and let's see how that would look like. So. Yeah, and here again, yeah, it's nice to have the data because we're actually changing the data set. Yeah, anyways, so we make a copy of the line changes, we go through the line changes, and if we've gone beyond the SHA index we're interested in, we break. I think this just needs to be +1. Yeah. So we're just changing that single object to have a +1 on its SHA index, and that should just work. Yeah, which means that we could move. We could even say move. We could have a single function here because they look exactly the same. Or at least we can kind of put this into a sub function. But anyways, let's just keep that for now. Let's see what happens when we... yeah, we have to... so we have the data file name and commit SHA-3, which would be 2 here. This would be 1. Yeah, and I think I removed the thingy with the should throw. I don't care about that. I don't care about that. It's not throwing anymore. And then gets lines and diff. Line changes, file name, and then the commit SHA would be 2. And then the lines should look like this. And the diff should look like something. And yeah, so let's reason about how this should actually look like first. So what we did here, so this is based on some fixtures. So let's go and find those fixtures. So what we have here is, we have the initial document of foobar. What did we actually do? We moved line, oh, where are we? Here we are. We moved line 2 and 3 from the second, well, the second commit to the last commit, which means that we moved, so this is the second commit. So we moved, yeah, so this is line, these are the two changes, like this is line 2, these two together, because it was a replacement. And we basically moved both of these. So this file should still be just foobar. That's the thing. That we could check that, if that works. And then this should actually be foobar. We should get mipmop in the middle there, and we should get this as the final result. Yeah, so it should look like that, and then the diff should be okay, line 2. So line 2 should be removing one line and adding, let's see, and adding foo bar comma, and then line 3 should be, and this is interesting, adding the mip moop and then, yeah, exactly. And then we have bar bass, which was added, right? Yeah, because this is 1, 2, 3. This should now be 4. And then we should have 4. And I don't expect this to work because we don't have the other way of transposing. But we can take a look. Yeah, exactly. So we're missing 4 as expected. But if we go in here now and we add logic to our transposing, so if we have the opposite condition, you know what we can do? We can simplify this. So if it's not the same, we can say transpose by if is moved left. So if the origin SHA is more than the current SHA, it means it's moved left. And if it's moved left, this is the correct result. But if it's moved right, right. I guess we can do this. Then we want to flip it, which we can do by multiplying by -1. Wow, it sounds like I know math. I really don't. So if we, how should I express this? It's almost like we should do that check here. This is a horrible. Yeah, we should do let transpose by equals 0, and then if line change dot diff equals -1, transpose by equals is moved right, it should be 1 or it should be -1. And then we can say this is more expressive. And then we do the same. Is moved right, it's -1 or it's 1. I think this is right. It didn't work. Damn it. Damn it. Okay, we have to reason about this. So let's only run this. And let's try to figure this one out before we stop. Because then we should have what we need to refactor a client. Maybe I'll even do that. No, I'm actually watching a movie tonight. Yes, we can do it tomorrow. Where were we? Okay, we have our failing. Let's close this. We have our failing test. And it doesn't show the 4 there. So let's see what we have coming in here. So console.log changes on SHA-index. Let's see what we actually have here. So we have our line 2, which is a replacement with foobar. Great. We have line 3. Yeah, which is, and this is interesting. Which is bar bas. What did we expect it to be? Was it mipmoop? Yeah, mipmoop should be there. Oh, sorry. Oh, where were we? There we are. Okay, so actually this is the thing. Okay, so now we're adding line 3 to the diff. And then, oh yeah, okay. I think I know what's wrong. We are replacing the line too soon. We have to do the transposition first. So this shouldn't happen right away. We should transpose first, and then we actually apply the correct contents to that line. Because now we just basically overrided it. What? I thought that would work. So what I expected now is that since this was added to line 3, I expected that when we are now on, oops, sorry. Oh, this is interesting. We're doing the transposing here. Oh, wait, this doesn't work as I thought. Because now we have... we don't have this line. Yeah, this is the thing I was very unsure about, is having this single record representing everything. I'm wondering if we actually need to... But we still want them in order, that's the thing. Okay, we probably aren't able to fix this right now. Because this line doesn't trigger any transposing. Because it's the same SHA. So here we are like looking at what's been added to the diff, but nothing has been added on line 3 yet. So that's the thing. It's kind of like it's opposite. Is fascinating. And even more complex, it's like you might even have other things here. So you might have like even line 3 SHA index 2 origin SHA index 3, for example. So we need to find a way to express this transposing in a way that doesn't care about how many it needs to do. Yeah, the problem is just how we approach it. It's just having this single record. It doesn't seem to be the right way to keep references so that we can do what we need to do. let's think a little bit more. So what I need to know is, what I could do is I could filter this array on which items here is coming from the left and which of them is coming from the right. And we know that by looking at the SHA index and the origin SHA index. And and then, yeah, so what if we did that? And then we see oh god, this is, I'm trying to think of a way to not being so like meticulous, like something more generic, something simpler, where we would just go through it once and then it would actually be able to deal with this. But what if we went the other way? What would happen then? Like if we went backwards, would that change anything? No, because it's, yeah. So if we move something left, it's at the end of the array because it's later, or if we move it right, it's at the beginning of the array. And we want to keep it that way. But I wonder if we can we just go through it both ways? So instead of having this check, we go through it once and we actually do the transpose like we did, but then we move through it backwards. What would happen then? So we move through it once, it would add line 3 and it would make line 3 mip mop, which is what we actually want on line 3. But then we will move backwards and then we would move backwards and we would do nothing with this one. It would look at this, it's at different SHAs on line 3, which means, but that's the interesting thing, like previously we wanted, like when we moved the other way, we wanted everything after that line to transpose. But now we want the actual line to transpose. It's kind of like, here we are. Oh, wait a minute. Yeah, so maybe, oh, wait, this is interesting. So maybe the deal here is that, let's just change this back to what it was. Okay, so is moved left. If it's moved left, this is the kind of transposing we want. But what if the line already exists and the SHA index is the same? That means that we have moved something right because it was added as a line before. Yeah. Okay, let's try that. const is moved right, which means that we already have line change.line in the diff. It's already there, and these are equal. That means that since everything moved right is already in the diff, we'll identify them being moved right by looking at, oh, the line is already in the diff, but we have an item on the same line, which is the current SHA. That's how you indicate that it's been moved right. So if it's been moved right, we want to do something else. What the hell? What did I do? Oh. If it's moved right, what we rather want to do is we actually don't want to add it. Yeah, okay. If it's moved right, we actually want to this is interesting. We're not, oh, this is so interesting. We're not looking at the line change, existing line change. We're looking at the existing line change. Existing line change. And this should be a diff. Existing line change diff. So if the existing line change, I think this is it. And then what we want to do, line plus transpose by. Okay, something really bad happened. Oh, no. Is moved right? Oh, yeah, something bad happened now. So 2, 3, 4. 2 should be mip. Oh, it actually transposed something else as well. Okay, so this didn't work. So if line changed, how's that possible? What? Should move line to diff. How did that happen? Two, 3. We didn't even get 4. What the fuck? Is moved right. But how can the line change already be in the diff? That can only happen. Yeah, that should only happen once. Did I do something? Line in diff. Oh, maybe I didn't transpose diff. God damn it. What did I do? for fuck's sake, I need to fix this. We have the diff, we have the line change. What the hell is it doing? So it's adding 2 -1 freeboard, that's correct. And then it's getting 3 shy index 2 1. This is the one we moved, bar bass to 3, which is correct. And then we get into what the fuck, and then suddenly this is different. How the hell is that possible? Because here it's got line 3, shy index 2. Wait, there's something really weird going on here. Existing line diff. Transpose by existing line diff. Transpose by. Maybe it's the same. Oh, maybe that's what I did. Override in the... No, what the fuck is happening? How can it override the number 2? That's what I don't understand. How does this become 2 used to be this array and now it's mipmop? How did that happen? Because 2, it's not changing 2 at all. It's... Huh? Oh, because it's transposing to... Yeah, let's look at the transpose by. It's probably -1, which means that it goes to 2. Yeah, exactly. So yeah, this is definitely wrong. So now it transposes by 1, which means that, okay, the first one is correct. But now, okay, interesting. So what do we actually expect to be the correct one here? It should be... We expect mipmop to be the 3rd one, but now it's the 4th one. And mipmop... and mipmop was actually the one we Oh, okay. It's... The new one is not what we're going to transpose. So we are actually going to... Oh, yeah, of course. Yeah, because and then we're missing... So the thing... The existing line change diff is going to be the thing we transpose. Something like that? Yeah. So... So we have to do 2 things here. We have to transpose the existing line, because the existing line was the addition already made on that commit. But now we added something else from a previous commit on that line. So we have to transpose the existing one first, which we're doing here. And then of course we need to add the one that actually came from the other one. Okay. At least now we have, where's this login coming from? Did I console? Oh, there we go. Oh, I need to comment the hell out of this before I... Let's see if it actually runs every one of them now. It should. Yeah. Okay. Where's this coming from? 125. There we go. Okay, so we're going to trust this now. Yeah, that's the thing. I don't know if this data format I have chosen now, this array that holds all the changes in order, we just change the reference so that it always produces the same thing, like in terms of commit order. And then we have this transposing to actually give the correct. So my worry isn't that it doesn't produce the correct content. The worry is giving the correct indications of where the changes were actually made, which was what we were fiddling around with right now. But I think it makes sense. We'll have to test it, but I have to refactor the client again to make this work. So we could try to play a scenario in our heads. So what if no, I don't want to play a scenario in my head. Let's just try this and see what happens in the client. Play around with moving stuff around and see if it behaves. And then we'll remove these two sorting things, because that is definitely not the way to go. But it's kind of cool. Like, it doesn't have much code now. Like, the first version was crazy. It had a ton of code. And then we iterated and we produced some more code, but now like it's less and less code. And that's exactly, and this will also be less code, because these two are basically the same thing. So we, like, when you have less code doing the same, you kind of, it's kind of, you're aiming, you're on the right path, right? Because you're yeah, you're more concise with solving the problem you're trying to solve. But we might have some, like, this might not even work. Like, I don't know if this is going to work. Can you actually move lines around? Yeah, as I mentioned several times, this is going to produce the exact same result in terms of file contents, and it will do that because we're just changing SHA references. So, but we're not changing when the line change is applied. We're just changing the reference to when you want it to be applied. And then we have this transposing logic, which is just to give the correct indication on the line in the UI as you're manipulating this stuff. So it does make sense to me. And you can only move like left and right. You can't just say move SHA to 0, so that, because when you move SHA 5 line 3 to SHA 4, you might have something already on line 3. So when you do that, you kind of move. Well, I guess you could say move SHA 5 to SHA 1, but it will bring all the lines, all line 3s through all the SHAs down to that. It will change the SHA reference of that line on all other SHAs as well to 1. And that should again produce the exact same contents. I'm curious if the transposing works, so I think it should. Because it's looking at each line. It's taking like one step at a time. So, okay. No, I'm excited to see this running. So I'm going to see if I can find some time to refactor the client, and then we'll hopefully have something that runs. Cool. Thanks for following me. Yeah. If anyone's paying attention to this. But yeah, I just really want to get to a place where we can start thinking about the actual user experience of this. Anyways, bye for now.